Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another 10 p.m. and another Better Man show. I'm BK, and if you have joined us for the first time, you will know that we have. If you have joined us for the first time, you wouldn't know who I am. Sorry about that. So, hang on a minute. Yep. Feel free to. My name is BK, and feel free to connect with me. If you're friends, obviously, you know that. If you're not friends, don't be a stranger. Please add me as a friend. I'm happy to connect. And I'm actually currently live streaming on several platforms just as a quick test. Kind of mentioned this at some other times during a live stream before. So if you are coming from another platform, do drop a comment and tell us what platforms you are actually live on, because I'm actually now on more than Facebook and YouTube actually. And just want to kind of test out how this chat and comments feature works for this platform. So one last thing before we get going, and this is a routine that I do for this show, and this is day number 33 of a 100-day challenge. So exactly 33 days ago, I started this 100-day live stream challenge, and some friends think I was crazy to do it. I kind of think so myself. But well, we are on day number 33, and thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your feedback, your comments, and your encouragement. I said it a few episodes ago that it's very interesting how your friends would start rooting for you when you set yourself to do something, right? So, and I always mention it during this live stream that this was inspired by something called 75 Hard by Andy Frisella. And he has a whole string of things that you're supposed to do over 75 days. But I've chosen to kind of tweak it a little bit. So I can't call it that, but it's just a 100-day challenge for myself to challenge myself in discipline, right? In the effort of self-discipline. So thank you for joining me live or watching on replay. And tonight, just wanted to... Oops, I think my battery has just gone flat. Hang on. Yes, the battery just went flat. So I was about to say that since doing this live stream and committing to a certain time to start a live stream, I have immense respect and admiration for people who have to do that on a regular basis, like TV programs and news programs, and you see sometimes in the movies where there is a director behind or producer behind the scenes, and he's telling camera 1 go, camera 2 go. He's doing all these instructions, and they roll the timer and they start the show exactly on time, right? I can honestly tell you, it is a challenge. It is actually quite a challenge. So doing this live stream and putting together some graphics and some captions and some content, and also committing to a certain time, it's been fun, and it's also been challenging. And I have tremendous respect, hats off to all those people in those industries, because I know I can understand now the kind of time crunch that you probably feel, especially if you're running by the clock, right? So do appreciate all those 10 p.m. shows, 9 p.m. news, and all those things that just come on time. So I was just saying just now that today is a Saturday night. I wish that things were back to normal in a way, and we will all be out with friends and catching up and having drinks and having food and chit chat and so on, right? So this Saturday night thing, I also wanted to kind of keep it more casual as well. So just a few things, and I captioned it or titled it tonight as the 3 things I learned from a great teacher. Sorry. The 3 things I learned from a great teacher. I wish I knew him earlier. Unfortunately, no. So I can only learn from him from his books and so on. And in line with yesterday's topic about personal development, he's probably one of the best in the industry Unfortunately, I never had a chance to attend his seminars live, but even from his recorded media, I have learned a lot, and I think a lot of you probably would know about him. But I just wanted to highlight a few things that I learned, and a quick few things, right? So I also wanted to test out this new tool that I have, which is called Prezi. And Prezi is actually, and I think you can see the screen, right? Side by side. Yeah. So it works fine. So Prezi has this function which I kind of think is suitable for like a stream like this, right? So some simple wisdoms I learned from Jim Rohn, or what I would call Jim Rohnism. He has a lot of one-liners, a lot of quotes, a lot of simple things that I think has benefited me. And hopefully by sharing it with you, it can help you and benefit you in some way, right? So let's start with the first one, right? The more you know, the less you need to say. Something that I have come to learn as I've taken on the years. So sometimes when we are younger, or when I was younger, I kind of like to, I think a lot more argumentative than I am now. Now I have started to understand the need to respect the agency of others to make their own decisions, and I don't actually impose or try to get my way anymore, right? I kind of tone down in a way, and in fact, the more you know, the less you need to say, and sometimes saying less is more. Saying less is more. So I really like the simple wisdom that Jim Rohn has for all of us, right? So this is one. Second one, sometimes he says things in such a simple manner that it's like, okay, yeah, why didn't I think of it? So yes, it could be more elaborate than this, but goals, right? Decide what you want, right? And write it down, right? Let's see. Maybe you can see this better, right? Decide on what you want and write it down. So this is like the best goal setting seminar ever. Deciding on something that you want and then write it down. Problem is most of us don't write it down. Most of us don't write it down and don't accumulate. And I think there was one of his recorded audibles. He actually talks about this, where he says that it's good to keep a journal, and this is something that I've started to do as well. When you keep a journal and you write down your goals, you can actually look back in 5 years, 10 years, and look back at the goals, and perhaps sometimes laugh at yourself and say, "Oh wow, I only had such small little goals," And or you could also say, "Hey, yeah, I've actually reached my goals," and you'll notice that your goals will change over time. But the simple thing is decide on what you want and write it down. Right? And write it down. And write it down. I mean, you can write it down in code. It doesn't have to be something that everybody can understand. It could be something if you don't want people to know, you could write it down in code. But you have to write it down because 99% of people actually don't. Right? So that's another simple philosophy. So, but what I find very interesting about a lot of the things that he talks about in his seminars and recorded seminars is that he teaches all these very simple wisdoms, rules of life, the rules that govern our universe and our life, right? But at the same time, he also very, very clearly and strongly addresses, so what about your role, or what about my role in all this, right? And the things, the way we have to think about, change our mindset and so on, that to engage some of the simple rules and of life that we can actually engage in, right? So the next few is actually about that. Is our role in it. So the first one is, for things to change, you have to change. Very often, when we really think about it, is if we want things to change now, whatever it is, whether it's our health or wealth or our happiness, we kind of have to start to think about things that we need to change, right? So if things have to change, if you want things to change, you have to change, right? If you want to lose some weight, you have to change. You have to either change to a more healthy diet, or you have to make a commitment to go to the gym or exercise every day, right? If you want to see more amounts in your bank account, then you kind of have to start looking at budgeting or finance, spending less and putting the rest to work, or finding a way to earn a side hustle, to pick up a side hustle and earn some extra income, right? So if you don't do anything, obviously nothing will change, right? It's actually a very simple truth, but sometimes we kind of don't really get it until someone says it. Like, and I think one of the reasons why he's such a successful mentor to me, at least, is that he says it in a non-abusive yet very direct and frank way. That you need people like that in your life to say to you, and yeah, that's true. It was my fault, right? It was my fault, right? Or rather, in the words of Jim Rohn, you have messed up, or I have messed up. And then when you can recognize that, then you start to make changes. So that's one first thing we need to do. And this is a funny one. He's always quite funny, right? If you don't like the way things are, if you don't like how things are, change it. You are not a tree. If you don't like where you are, change it. You are not a tree, right? So it's like if you don't like where you are living now, you can change it. You can make a decision to change it because you're not a tree. You're not rooted to the ground. You definitely can change it. I really like his humor sometimes. Simple, effective. Simple yet effective, right? Next one. You cannot change your destination overnight. You can change your direction overnight. So a common saying is that where we are today is the result of a combination of decisions we have made probably about 3 years ago, okay, 5 years ago. So where you have decided, what the decision that you made about your direction 3 years ago has led you to where you are today. And if you want to be somewhere else in a few years' time, while you cannot change it overnight, but you can change the direction overnight. So by deciding here and now where you want to be in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years' time, by deciding by changing your direction, you have a very high chance that you will reach the destination. In fact, I like what he says. He says, human beings are probably the only life forms on planet Earth that can decide on our destination, right? We can decide where we want to be or where we want to go in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years' time, right? So that was about our role in our own journey in life, right? I find that in a lot of his seminars, he imparts on certain perspectives, perspectives about how to look at the world, the laws of the world, life, time, money, relationships, etc. Right? So these are some of the nuggets I've picked up, and hopefully, if I share with you, it might help you in some way. So the first one is time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. This is increasingly true. I guess it's also age. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm not that young anymore. And I guess if you tell me this when I was in my 20s, I probably wouldn't find it that meaningful, I think. What about you? You tell me if you're a 20-something today and you happen to be watching this, right? But right now, where I am, I'm almost like half a century old, right? And kind of quite often when you meet up with old schoolmates and gatherings with old friends, right? We always kind of say, yeah, we're actually catching on in years. And this whole idea of like, yes, time is actually more valuable to us now than money is very, very true. You can lose money, you can make it back. There is a way to make it back, right? But the time that is lost can never be recovered. That is the unfortunate truth, right? So my perspective about time and money lately has improved or changed a lot. Of course, credit to Jim Rohn and also to some other books. There are two other books that there's one other book I mentioned, which is Your Life or Your Money. Strongly suggest that you check it out. There's another one called A Happy Pocket Full of Money, which is actually probably one of the most fascinating concepts about money that I've read, because it ties money with quantum physics. Believe it or not, So a happy pocket full of money. Have a read as well. It is also a very fascinating book about money. Okay, so this one, another perspective that he has shared, and I like a lot. You say the country is messed up. That's like cursing the soil and the seed and the sunshine and the rain, which is all you've got. Don't curse all you've got. When you get your own planet, you can rearrange this whole deal. This one you got to take it like it comes. So sometimes we complain about the situation, the surroundings, our bosses, our company, our resources, the weather, the country, the global climate that is not ideal right now, and all those things, right? But the reality of it is that all these things are happening to everyone at the same time. We cannot change any of those things. And his perspective on this is that when we complain about the things around us, it's kind of like cursing the things, the only things we have to grow a harvest, which is the soil, the seed, the sunshine, and the rain, right? So we just need to learn to handle all these things that are coming at us. And the better we learn, the better we are able at handling, we actually can come out of it stronger, which is what I talked about yesterday, how to have your best year ever, even this year, right? So this an attitude or perspective about what is going on right now in the world. I think is very useful for all of us, right? Because if you look back at the history of mankind, everything is cyclical, and things like this have happened before. The good news is this too shall pass, right? The good news is this too shall pass. So we just have to make sure we are ready when we come out of it, right? So there's another good perspective that we should all have. Next one. I think you need to make it bigger so that you can see, right? So, and I need to take away the caption so that you can all see better. Hang on. Yeah. This is a very, very, very unique perspective. So how about this miracle? God says, if you plant the seed, I will make the tree. Wow, you can't have a better arrangement than that. First, it gives God the tough end of the deal. What if you had to make a tree? That would keep you up late at night trying to figure out how to make a tree, right? But God says, leave the miracle part to me. I've got the seed, the soil, the sunshine, the rain, and the seasons. I'm God, and all the miracle stuff is easy for me. I've reserved something very special for you, and that is to plant the seed. And that is for you to plant the seed. So what is interesting here is that we have had the better end of the deal. All we need to do if we want to have better things in our life is to start planting the seeds. In other words, start doing the work. The rest of the hard stuff, right? Call it the greater power, call it God, call it whatever your religious beliefs or non-beliefs have it. That's what they are supposed to do, right? On our part, we just take care of the work or the action or the steps, right? Do the work. So if you're in sales, do the work. Go out and talk to people. And there's no perfect salesman in the world. There's no way that you can close 100% of all deals of everybody you talk to. There's no such thing, right? Probably the best people in the world are averaging about 3 out of 10, right? 3 out of 10. In fact, if you are in baseball, you will know that a lot of times the statistics is around that number, right? It's about how many, most of the time there's no baseball player in the world that strikes 10 times out of 10, right? They go by the in the 300s, you know. If you're 375, you know, that's like very, very good, for example, right? Or 385. So that is something that we just need to do, just going out there and planting the seeds. We got a good end of the deal. So having the simple wisdom and then the perspective and of course our role in all of this. The last part of, I guess, all this personal development part is actually a lot has to do with self-discipline, which is partly why I am doing this 100-day challenge, because it's to help me in this area as well, right? Because success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, right? Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And another thing I like to quote from him is that, but unfortunately, actually, fortunately or unfortunately, it's up to you where you want to come at, right? What is easy to do is also easy not to do. So if success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, which means it is not difficult to do, it's easy to do, right? Just like if you are trying to lose weight, the discipline could be taking a walk around your neighborhood every single day, right? But it's also easy not to do it, right? It's also easy to say, I don't feel like it today, I'm not doing it today, right? And if you don't do it one day, you don't do it 2 days, you don't do it 3 days, and very soon, it shouldn't be surprise you start putting on some weight over time, right? So success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practice every single day. And this is also very inspiring for me. We can suffer the pain of discipline or suffer the pain of regret. And the choice between the two, discipline weighs an ounce, but the regret weighs a ton. So while it seems hard while you're at it, that you are putting effort in the arena of discipline, it may seem hard. But if you don't, the pain of regret is way, way harder or way, way heavier. So this is a simple way of thinking about it. You either suffer the pain of discipline or you suffer the pain of regret. And this is something that I like a lot, and also a hopeful thing to think about or hope for, because for every discipline effort, there is a multiple reward. For every discipline effort, there is a multiple reward. So one discipline will feed to another, and then that discipline will feed to another, and then that discipline will feed to another. And at the same time, there is a multiple of rewards from a single discipline. You know, the interesting thing is this 100-day challenge is kind of like a discipline effort, right? Yet at the same time, I have also started to reap multiple rewards, and I've shared with some of you at the start. Friends who are rooting for me, reconnecting with old friends. And then earlier on, I mentioned that also the possibility of becoming and then able to provide services for setting up live streams like this. You know, there are people who have came up to me and asked me for help. You know, so if I wanted it, you could have. I mean, you could turn it into like a side hustle or consultation gig, right? You know, if you think that's what you want to do, which is highly possible, right? Especially in today's global climate, right? And I think the most unexpected reward was when people actually come up and say things like, hey, you know what you said the other day has inspired me or helped me, right? It's always humbling to hear things like that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share tonight, a series of Jim Rohn stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. He's one of my favorite authors, mentors, personal development speakers. He also suggests that you shouldn't have only the diet. Your diet should be more varied, just like food. So I do have a lot of other people that I read and like and listen to and read about, right? Like just now I mentioned the 2 books. You know, you should check it out as well. You know, Your Life or Your Money. And the other one is A Happy Pocket Full of Money. There's 2 other good books on the topic of money if you're interested in money, right? Of course, there are a lot of others, and I thank my friend the other day, Liu, for recommending the 5 a.m. club. You know, which is a subject that I think I've come across a few times as well. A lot of the top performers do wake up very, very early, 4:30, 5. And then the concept of is you get from the day instead of getting through the day. So happy Saturday, happy weekend. Tomorrow is a Sunday, and I think most people spend Sundays with families. So have a good restful, peaceful Sunday, whether you are out with family for meals or to church or wherever. I'll see you tomorrow night for day number 34, and thank you for joining me on day number 33.